And we are live. Welcome to lunchtime. I'm in the process of putting a cord back into my computer. Don't you love those times when things happen just as it's showtime? And so I had to work on that a little bit before we got deep into today's subject. I am so looking forward to all of you and to being able to feel the conversation. And I'm hoping you're going to be a part of the conversation today. And of course, Lunchtime is one of the shows of Ebony Ivy and Thyme. And I certainly enjoy sitting here at the lunch table having conversation with you, as well as being able to get feedback. I'm learning things, you're learning things, and we're doing it together. So we are going to talk today about, let's see if I can get this one in. Okay, I'm trying to add. Okay, there it is. We are celebrating. We are celebrating today the women who cook. And that's going to be our focus today. So I'm going to take our banner down because you know who I am. And we're going to take a look at women, celebrating women. So for just a moment, I'm going to bring you back and we're going to talk about that because, as I really started to think about what women do, how important we are, we have to be able to give ourselves pats on the back every now and then because you think about it. First of all, we can go back to we can think about it cellular, and if it wasn't for us, there would be a real change in the world. Women are necessary, but you know what? Also, we have to think about the fact that as women, um, our roles have, I'm going to say, changed and increased. You know how we talk about now in the job world that sometimes you'll get a job and you'll get in a position, and then all of a sudden it seems like you're doing more. And every time you look up, there's a little more for you to do. Well, that's kind of the way women's work began. So we're going to talk about first why we have National Women's History Month. And ladies, and for the gents that are out there, because I'm hoping that the gents are going to take this conversation and that you are going to go back, look at the women who have inspired you, encouraged you, who continue to do that even today, and who are vital parts of your family. So take a look at those people, certainly today. Also, the theme for this month, and the month of March was selected back in 1970 as being the month for celebrating National Women's History Month. Now, the theme this year is celebrating women who tell their stories. And so I have been looking around to see who's out there, who's having talks, or who can I go and talk to and find out what's your story? How did you get started? What is it that inspired you to do the wonderful things that you're doing? And so those are some of the things that we want to be able to focus on a little bit each week during the month of March. Now, today, first of all, I'd like to ask you this question. Haven't you heard the term women's work? And when you heard it, did something just kind of make your skin crawl? And that's because we're a newer generation, because of the fact that years ago, the woman was the one who kept the family going. The wife was the one who did all the washing, all the ironing, all the cleaning, all the cooking. She kept a garden. She probably milked the cows if you were on a farm. She very often kept the yard going. And you know why? Because her husband was the one who was out and working and making the money for the family. Now, things changed. It got to a point, it was during the time of when World War One came along, and we were going through that time period. Men had to go off to war. And guess what? Women stepped up to the plate. They stepped up to the plate. They found that, okay, my husband is taking care of the war. He's fighting on the front line. So I've got to keep the home fires burning. So when you start to think about that, that was really the moment when the whole mindset of the average woman started to change. And I know this in talking to my mother and to talking to other women who are older. And in talking with them, we found out that back during those days when husbands were in the war, that all of a sudden women had to find ways to make money. And because the little bit of money that men were given through the Army or through the Navy or whatever it was, whatever branch of service that they were participating in, that those particular women had to find a way to keep the family going. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. And so it is serious when we start to think about what is woman's work. And you know, that term is an old term. And men got comfortable with women's work because that meant that was something they didn't have to do, because women were at home. Hello. And so, you know, women were home. Back in those days, it really wasn't by choice. At that point, I'd say probably 99% of the women worked in the home. They really didn't do a lot of work outside of the home. Now, I can say in my community that there were women who did work, because perhaps in the case of single women who had children, they didn't have the option of waiting for the husband to come home, to provide, to do all those good things. So they had to get up and go. They had to find jobs. And most of the jobs for women were more domestic, where you were going into people's homes and you were doing in their home what you had to also come home and do at home. And so it's, you think about juggling. They had to juggle because they had to go to someone else's home, do the cleaning, the ironing, the work, the cooking. They did all those things at somebody else's house. Then they left there, and then they had to come home and do those same things for their own family. So women's work. So, I'm of that generation. We were in that women's live moment. And so when you hear somebody say women's work, the hair stands up on the head, because how dare you say women's work? Because we have come to the mindset that everybody in this house works, because later women had to get up and go, had to start working. Now, I can remember one of my aunts during the time of the Vietnam War. She was working at what they called the bag plant. And the bag plant was the place where they produced the powder for the bullets, and all the little stuff that, you use for war. And that's where she worked. She made super good money. And the reason was, now we thought it was super good money in the respect of women's salaries. And oh my goodness, we'll have to talk about women's salaries in a little while. But when you talk about women's salaries and what women had to do, the money that they were making was really good to them because they had not worked outside of the home. They were expected to keep the home. And the husband was the one that was bringing home the bacon, so to speak. And so it's interesting that as we look at the role of the woman, we have shaped the world. And that's something that we need to take in here and understand, because there are women who they may not be in the chat box with us today, but there are young women and there are middle-aged women and there are those of us who are a little more seasoned, and somewhere in our mind we are still thinking that we are back in that women's work moment of where we had the husband who was here, and I'm okay with that, with the husband being at the head of the house. But we're also very special because we are the wind beneath his wings. We are the wind that helps to hold the husband up when there are things that need to be done. But our younger selves, our younger, newer selves have learned that we can go to work too. And when we come home, we work together. There are things that he will do. There are things that I will do. And that we divide up whatever the tasks are that need to be done. And so that helps because it takes the weight of the job off your shoulders, and it makes it so much easier to get the job done. Now, I was talking to a young lady this morning, and it was so interesting. I was at the dentist, and my hygienist is a single mom, 2 children, and we were having a conversation about talking about children and education and moms who work, and she has struggling with things for her to do after school and those kind of things. But because of money and because of the fact that we are in a little different situation at this point, that she's unable to get her children to the activities that she would like for them to be able to participate in. Now, I could say to her, I remember when, and we were talking about after school activities. And so I remember when activity buses were available for the children. They could stay after school for whatever activity. And then an activity bus would run, and it would take them a little longer to get home, but they had a ride to get home wherever they needed to go. And the bus driver got to make a little extra money after the regular runs were done. And now those buses have been eliminated. And so she said it's been difficult for her. So she has to find someone who's willing to pick up her daughter or her son for whatever the activity is. And so what she tries to do is to swap out something else. If they're doing something on the weekend, she'll swap out and she'll be the one to drive. So working those things out, but she's doing it happily. And so that makes that has eased the tension for her. But when we ask that question of what's women's work, I tell you what, it just kind of drives me crazy. Now, as we're celebrating women who tell their stories, I am going through and I'm looking for women to tell their story. I want to know your story, how you got started, why, and how are you doing the things that you're doing. We had yesterday, I had a young man who, he was so funny. He just discovered, he happened to be on YouTube and my face popped up. And he said, "Oh my gosh, I know her. I know her." And so he was so tickled. And so he said, "I'm going to have to sit down with you because I want to hear the story of how you got started." And, so I'm thinking, that's a good way for us to look at how we get started. How do you get started? Today, now guys, I'm gonna put this out there. I'm gonna put this out there. Normally I wouldn't share this, and I'm gonna tell you, I got a birthday next month, and I stayed at 29 for 20 years. That was beyond the 29. Okay, so don't hate. I was 29. Everybody say, "Well, how old are you?" I'm 29. And so, but I have come to embrace where I am. So I'm 70. So anyway, but the thing of it is that I, as I talk to each of you, and as we sit down in our conversation, I want you to know that you're never too young to do the things you desire to do. For those who are young, they have a lifetime before them to do what their heart desire is. You just have to work. For those of us who are more seasoned and maybe middle aged, don't think because you're 70 that you can't do some of the things that you have desired to do. Because I'm an example. I'm doing what I've always wanted to do. And so this is fun to me. It gives me an opportunity for me to learn and to share with you and to learn from you. And that's what it's all about. It's the exchange. But if there's a business that you're considering, I know we've got Denise in the chat. Who knew 30 years ago that Denise would become the apron diva? Who knew? She didn't know, but when she had the opportunity to step into it, she did just that. And there are others, many on YouTube, on Facebook, on Instagram, who are finding their moment. They're finding their moment. And I'm saying to them, don't hesitate. Walk in faith and do it. Step out and do it. You have to do some research. I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but certainly we don't have to wait on anyone. We can do those things that we want to do. And so I don't let grass grow under my feet. When there's something that I see that needs to be done, I'm on it. And I'm hoping that each of you, as you meditate, as you think about where you are today, and if there's something in your heart, some of us who are, I know, on this chat have made career changes. And don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to make career changes. I'm telling you, life is, it's not so much about the time, how much time you have. It's the value of your life. It's the value of your life. And, so as we think about women, many, 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 many years ago, to be honest with you, and I'm going to go to a dark place for a moment, women were not valued. I'm just going to drop the mic and put it out there. Women were not valued. You were just the housekeeper. You were just the person that did the ironing. You were just the person who kept everything going. So we have to get to a point where we know who we are. And we're not going to do that in a way that is obnoxious, but within us, we need to know who we are, know how important we are to this structure, the family structure. We are at the root. The tree stands because of all of us. All of us. So I encourage you, give yourself that pat on the back, and any women who you see who are out there making it every day, they deserve a pat on the back as well. So I'm going to share some information. I was thinking about home chefs, thinking about chefs in general. And later during the show, I'm going to share with you some of the chefs who have inspired me along the way. I've watched them from way over here at the beginning to where they are today. And they are women who started out just like you and I. We had a love for something, a passion for something, and we were able to follow it through. Now, women, when you think about how the household prior to women going to work, think about the household. There were, I think back to my mom. You maybe had two dresses. One was for at home, because back in her day, women didn't wear pants. They wore dresses every day. And it wasn't acceptable ever to have on pants, and all the mopping and all the stuff she had to do all of that in a dress. She had a Sunday dress and her Sunday hat, all that to do. That was early. And when she started to work, then she was able to acquire more and was able to do more. So as we think about our moms, when we look back, and some of us, I can remember a friend of mine who used to get so upset with her mother because she'd want to do something, and her mom would nicely say, well, we can't do that today. Well, it was a financial thing, but she just didn't want to share it, because most of the time, homemakers, home cooks, they used whatever they had. And so you didn't have fantastic meals every day. That's why you learned to eat what was on the table. And whatever your mom put before you, that is what you ate, because that is what was being provided for that day. Now, we have come into the 21st century, and we have been able to really, to be honest with you, I would say we have grown tremendously as a group of women. And this week, March 8th, is the International Women's Day. March 8th, International Women's Day. And that day is going to be celebrated around the world. And many women not only just those that we see, on television, our personalities or whatever, they may be celebrated as well. But also, you may find it may be at your church, it may be at the school, it may be in a community center or somewhere, depending upon where you are and what you do. You may find that there's a celebration for women. I know we're doing a celebration at our church, and we brought one of our oldest female members, and she's coming in to talk, and she's going to tell her story, which is going to be so cool. This lady, I do believe, is close to 96, and you never know it. She could outwalk all of you, and she's sharp as a tack. And I just know her story is going to be one that is powerful. And so I can't wait to hear it. Now, we look at people. I love sitting and talking to women and men who have been on this earth a long time, because they've seen a lot of things, heard a lot of things, and some of them have done a lot of things. So when you have the opportunity to sit with someone who is well seasoned, then that gives you an opportunity to be able to listen to their story. And you know what? You will always walk away with a message that was geared for you, because there's always some little tidbit, some little nugget that they're going to share that they don't even realize they're sharing, but you're going to look at it and go, oh my goodness, wow, why didn't I think of that? So that's where we are. So I'm going to go over here in the chat for a moment before we start to talk about some of those cooks and where they've come from. Now I see we've got Jewel in the kitchen with us today. Hello, Jewel. We have Elizabeth with us. Hello, hello. Got Denise in the house. We have Michelle is in the house. Great to have you, ladies. Got Sue in the house. Nitty T is in the house. And Denise, let me see. I saw that you were sharing something. Sharanta is in the house. Got Tamara with us. And Denise says, exactly, when we come home, we work together. You know it. You know it. That's what you have to do. Working together. Michelle agrees that we did that. This, when she was talking about this was talking about Denise and how she, when her career, when she, after she retired, she didn't let the grass grow under her feet. She started something. Michelle says, you too. We both have become figures of inspiration. Thank you, Michelle. We appreciate that. And Elizabeth saying, don't hesitate, walk in faith. That is my motto. Walk in faith. Denise is saying that you are so right. Who knew we would do the things that we do now? And she said she never knew that she would start a business. I know. When you think about that, so proud of you. I love it, Sue. I'm 29 years old with 41 years of experience. There we go. And experience is a good thing to have, Sue. It really is a great thing to have. If I could be that 29-year-old and have this experience, woo, I'd be a force to be reckoned with. Now, I want to share with you, I know you're probably wondering, how did it come about for me to end up doing what I do? And I think as we tell our stories, Denise is going to be coming on this month, and I am definitely going to ask her to kind of tell a little bit about her story as well. And but I wanted to share with you this week, since it is the International Women's Week, we are going to take a look at some of the chefs that I know started at home. And then their cooking took them to a whole new level. And I follow so many of these people even today. So I'm going to start here with Lydia Bostanovich. And I'm going to share with you why, my reason why these particular female chefs are I think inspiring. You know, Lydia um, has been a home cook. She started as a home cook, and her mother, of course, she calls her grandma, and God bless her, she's gone. She just left us not too long ago, and I know in their family there's a hole because her mother was a force. And when she would talk about her childhood and how she worked in the kitchen and the things that she did for the family and how her influenced Lydia to such a point that she, so to speak, copied what her mother was doing and then moved it to a business. And now she's a very wealthy woman, but she is all about the home, all about the family, all about cooking healthy and cooking she's even taking the time to cook with her grandchildren, of course, her children. And it's neat to see when the kids are in the kitchen with her, and they have been coming to the kitchen since they were little things, and now they're almost high school and college age. And to see how they've been able to work that family into a tight bond. And so she inspired me because I think as the home cook, we are the bond. We're the glue that holds the family together. And it's the things that we do as home cooks right here in our kitchens that matter. We keep the family together. And when the family's tight, any community that comes or anyone that comes into and connects with part of that family, they're going to become a part of an even larger family. So we start with our family here, and our family grows this way. And that's when we get great value. When moms and home cooks are able to do that, I call it the Kool-Aid house, where everybody wants to be at the Kool-Aid house after school. And that's what the dentist was talking about today, that I was telling you earlier, the single mom, that we want to be able to grow our family. That's what she wants to be able to do. She goes home and she works with her two children so that their community is tight. And then she is able to bring in their friends. And what she does is that she actually, she'll cook a dinner large enough that she can invite their friends. And she's building a community. So her family is starting to do this. And that is certainly a powerful move. Nitty T sharing with us that she met Lydia when she did the book tour for Felicia. She told great stories. I bet she did. I bet she did. She's a wonderful lady, a wonderful lady. Another lady that, and I know you all know this lady, the French chef, Julia Childs. I can't tell you how many times I have watched over and over and over and over her shows. And it's not just about the fact that she's cooking. It is her personality, it's her inspiration as she does it. And she did it in such a way, and this was her whole point, that she wanted to show those women who were at home that they could do anything she could do, you know. And when she made mistakes, the mistakes were there, and you just kept right on going. You tried to fix it, and you moved on. You didn't get upset with it's like, oh well, we move on, we go on. But she inspired an entire generation of women to cook. And she cooked in a home kitchen, you know, and her show was shot within a home kitchen. And so it wasn't easy for her. It wasn't easy for her to get started. She had to fight the powers that be in order to step out and to do what she honestly felt like was her passion. Her passion was to cook, but most of all, her passion was to be able to show women that they could do anything she could do and that it wasn't that difficult. And she was a great woman and a lady who I highly respect as a chef. Another person who I like, and this young lady, well, she's not young, she's seasoned at this point, Sarah Moulton, as you know, was a student of Julia Childs. And when you watch her today, she has evolved over time. We've seen her children from little boys to college boys, college guys at this point. But she was able to learn from Julia and bring it home. And then took that mantra of, if I can do it, you can do it. And she brought it to TV. And so, certainly, I'm sure some of you have also been inspired. Felidia. Okay. I see. Kit Nitty T said the name of the book is Felidia. And so, not Felicia, Felidia. Those spell checks will just drive you crazy sometimes. I know how that is. But Sarah Moulton, and you can still catch Sarah Moulton on the Create channel, and sometimes you'll find her on Create is a branch of PBS, and so I watch her a lot. I like her. I like her style, and so I have certainly enjoyed um, learning from her. We all have to learn from someone, and you pick up little tricks, little tips. And today we're talking about women, but we learn from male chefs as well. I've got some male chefs that I like as well. Now, here's my girl, Rachel Ray. Oh my goodness. When Rachel came on television, she stole the show. And it was her personality that just took your heart. She had that little girl personality, well, we'll say young girl personality. But what I liked about it is she was a no frills cook. No frills, because she recognized the fact that in most people's kitchen, we don't have frills. We just have our pots and our pans and whatever it may be. And that's what we're cooking for our family with. Now, she had the influence of her mom as well. And she has quite a story. If you ever have an opportunity to read her biography or read her one of her books, you'll find out a lot about her. And she did. Rachel, I agree, Michelle. Michelle said that Rachel Ray helped to take the fear out of cooking. She did. She did. And you just weren't afraid. You try it. And whatever it was Rachel was doing, you knew, I can try that. I can do that. And so I loved it. Now, of course, you'll later find out had she been trained? Yes, yes. And but let me tell you something. Let me get back here for just a second. I knew I had the chance when I was in California to go and tour the Culinary Institute. And it is an interesting place. If you ever have a chance to go, take a tour. And if you have an opportunity to get a reservation to have dinner there, do that. But when I looked into the history of the Culinary Institute, I found out that the Culinary Institute, when it first started, did not accept women, not at all, because they wanted to only train people who were going to work in restaurants, start their own business cooking. And, it just left a little pin in me. It just annoyed me to think of all of the women who were at home cooking every day. If a woman could afford to go to the Culinary Institute, why not? Why not? That was my question for them. Why not? And it took until the 1970s for a number of women to get into the Culinary Institute. And when you still, even today, when you look at the percentage of women to men who are in the Culinary Institute, there are still more men than women, even today. Now, our school system here has started for high school a culinary arts class. And that has been, I think, very valuable because high schoolers are learning a lot of the fancy techniques that they can take into restaurants. And they are being prepared at this point. They're learning skills that they can use for a job, and they can use them at home. And that's nice to see. And I don't know if that's in all cities. So I'll say in all states, because I know some cities might not have everything that some cities have, or some school systems have. School systems enough money to provide these particular types of classes for students, and that they aren't limited to only gifted children. They are limited to any children who have an interest in that area. And so as we look at home cooking, we have to think about the fact that we're being influenced by those that we see. We watch television. I'm on the Create channel, watching and seeing whatever's going on. The big guy watches the Create channel and PBS more than I do, and he's saying, Leona, check out this person. See what they're doing over here. They've got something a little different that they're doing over here. And so we're constantly bouncing back and forth, looking at what's being done. And so there are people out there who will influence you. Here's another cook that I like, Marianne Esposito. If you have not had a chance, she is so I find her hilarious. Not in that she's not really funny. She's not meant, she doesn't think she's funny, but she just has a way about her that makes you giggle. And she's working in the kitchen. She is one of those classic Italian mothers, and she has no bones about it. She doesn't hide it whatsoever, and she knows what she knows, and she shows you whatever it is. She lets you know this is something you can do, and she gets you through it from step one to the end. And certainly from her, she's another person who, if you're interested, and she bakes a lot of bread, all those kind of things, those are things that she's into. And at this point, she's gone from being the home cook, the home Italian mother, and she has grown children, to being the television personality, as well as now she is one of the trainers who's training new students, new people who are in restaurants or who want to start restaurants. She is one of those people also who's out there paving the way for others in order for them to be able to start new endeavors in cooking. Let me find my other. And last but not least, I am an Ina Garden person. I love Ina. There's not a show that she has had that I haven't watched. I have watched Ina from the time she started on television to today. And you know that today she doesn't have to, but she doesn't do as much as she used to. And that's because she's becoming more seasoned like some of us. And she's able to slow things down just a little bit. But Ina is another person who worked, she started um, working in a restaurant and a bakery, actually started in a bakery. And when you see her story, she went from working in the bakery to eventually owning the bakery. And then she decided that she would start her show. And I don't know if she decided or somebody else saw that she was doing and thought she would be a great personality to be able to do that. But she's a very loving person, and certainly she will kick your game up when it comes to cooking. And I love Ina. I can't tell you, I love Ina, you know. And when she's out in the garden and she has her herbs and she's clipping her herbs, she and Sarah Moulton go out in the yard and they start clipping those little herbs and bringing them back in and using them. I'm going there. Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. And so, Ina, we are celebrating certainly women who cook. And these women who cook, what I love about it is the fact that we see them almost every day, almost every day. And if not every day, at least every week. These women are before us. And certainly now, because of technology being as great as it is, we are able to go to YouTube or go to Instagram and keep up with them. We can see what they're doing today, see what they're cooking today, see what they're creating today. And I see you, Nitty T. Jeffrey is the cutest thing. Yes, he is. He is the cutest thing. And I love the fact she talks about the fact, I think what really in one of the things that really endured me was the fact that her love for Jeffrey. She loves Jeffrey and Jeffrey loves Ina. And she knows what he likes. And she knows he works at the university. When he comes home, she has what he likes for dinner. And the two of them have their little their moment of just the two of them to sit back and have a delicious meal. It doesn't have to, it's not a fancy meal. He likes chicken. He likes her baked chicken, and that's what she prepares for him. So he knows he's going to get a good home cooked meal when he comes home. And I just love it. Hey Dee, how are you? So it's always fun. So celebrating women who cook was really special for me because it gave me a chance to share with you those women who have been, I can say, influential to me, and who inspired me to step out of one box and into another. And they are just, they're good people, and they have done a lot of good things, not just to enhance themselves. They have done things beyond their doors. And so, certainly, as I told you, for those who might be late coming in, um, I had been to the dentist, and my hygienist is a single mom, and we got to talking about cooking and the kitchen, and so she was interested, and I'm hoping, unfortunately, she's not able to join us at the lunch table, but she is going to tie into us and become a part of the community because she wants to know what people are thinking. And I think it's important for our young home cooks to know there's a starting place for everyone. We all have a starting point. And if we can only cook 4 good meals, well, I'll even break it down, 2 good meals, then that's that's 2 meals we've got. And if we can find someone who inspires us to try something new, put something new on that menu, then we've I feel like I've taught them to fish. You know, I'm not going to give them the fish, but I'm going to teach them how. And so that's what I like to do. I like to be able to share. And I'm thinking that as I look at each of these women that I've talked about today, they have the same passion and the same desire that I have, because they wanted to share with their family, to build their family, to influence their family. But also they figured out that there were other folks out here who needed the influence, needed the inspiration, and they do it in such a lovely way. There are a lot of chefs, and I'm just gonna say it. There are a lot of chefs that are out there who are fantastic cooks, but I I'm all about the heart. Where's your heart? Are you doing this because you know you're really changing the world one meal at a time? Because that's what we're doing, ladies and gentlemen. We are changing the world one meal at a time. One meal at a time. These ladies that we looked at today have changed the world each week with one meal at a time. And I've got the feeling that if they can do it, I can do it. Absolutely. And I'm going to walk in that. If they can do it, I can do it. So I hope for those of you who are out there and you are young home cooks and you are learning Understand there is nothing you can't do. And have your family right there at that table ready to eat dinner. Because when it smells good and it tastes good and you've got good conversation and a good family, then everything powerful can happen right there at that table. So, oh, that's sweet. Thank you. I'm reading Michelle. She said, your heart is evident. An important aspect is the feeling of community that you and Denise have created. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. You know, we try. We really try. And Dee, you're over here saying yes, but you know what? Dee influences us too, because Dee has a heart of gold. And for those of you out there, if you haven't checked Dee's lovely life out, you've missed something. She is a sweetheart. And she makes me smile every time I watch her show. It is wonderful. And we have a lot of women who are out there who need just a kind word, just a little push, just a little push, a little encouragement, and they will be game changers. I want to see game changers, and that's what we want. That's what we want. And you know, it's funny. I can say this. I see Denise is out there. Denise, I was talking to someone Sunday and was telling them about this and that with Denise Jordan, and that she had kind of influenced me when I was first starting up the channel, and that I was telling them how you had grown, how things had changed from the time you started to now, and had also kind of walked through my story as well. And so I told them, I said, but the most important part of the story that most people don't know is the fact that we have been able to grow into friends. And of all of that, as much as we love our channels, we love our community, we love our subscribers, but Denise is my girl. And you know, we are friends. We've never seen each other face to face in person, but we have hearts. You know, when the heart is one, you got a good friend. And so we've been fortunate enough of all of this, we have been able to become great friends. And so I say to you that as we look at our female chefs, and as you're scrolling through and looking through at all the things that are on television, there's a lot on TV. Some are good and some things are bad. But as you're looking, find things that inspire you to do the things that you want to do. You know, we can be, as I looked at this picture that I showed you earlier, this one, be any of these women and still be a powerful influence in our homes. It's a matter of being able to find balance and to be able to juggle work and home. It can be done. I've done it. I know Denise has done it. I know several others of you have done it. And you can do both if that's what you choose to do. And understand that phrase that I told you earlier, women's work, phooey, understand that when you decide to come home, and if you're the stay-at-home mom, don't ever let anyone make you feel like you're a second-class citizen because you stay at home, because you are the force that is changing the world right there in your household. Today has been a wonderful, wonderful conversation. I'm going to share this with you. Denise, she said, yes, we have. And becoming friends, she said, we have become friends. She said her husband sometimes would say, who are you talking to? And she'll say, Leona. And she says, he, he thinks he's on with one of her sisters. And that's the truth. Hi, Carol. Oh, how sweet of you. You all are so sweet. We got Carol on today. And of course, Dee is on with us today. I am so glad that you were to come in and give Queen G a hug and let her know we're thinking about her. Now, ladies, gentlemen, powerful women are the women who are standing behind that stove, never, seldom short, because they shape the world. Keep that in mind. You're shaping the world. God bless all of you. Keep you safe. Those of you who are, and I meant to mention this earlier, those of you who are in California who have snow up to the wazoo, I thought I can say this very quickly. I thought about Denise and how we worked so hard through COVID to influence everyone to make sure you had an extended pantry so that should a disaster occur, you would have food in your home. And when I looked yesterday at the news at the people whose houses have snow up so high that they are unable to get out of their homes to even go to a grocery. And I thought about, oh my goodness, I hope some of them were listening and that they had extended pantries. And if they didn't, that perhaps we can tap into that and help them develop those things. So, mwah, 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 mwah. Love on somebody you know. Give a hug to somebody you don't know. Have a wonderful week. And I can't wait to talk to you guys later. So thank you for coming to lunchtime. And I will certainly see you soon. Aww. A new kitten. How about that? Bye, guys. Have a great week. We'll be back at that lunch table on Monday.